How do you feel about a 4-day work week? My company switched to 4 10-hour days. We are diesel technicians and work 7 to 5:30. Half of us work Monday through Thursday and the other half work Tuesday through Friday. We have did this for over 2 years and we all love it. It is so nice to have a 3-day weekend every week. Another thing about it that is nice is if you doctor's appointment or something I can make it on a Monday and don't have to miss any work. Plus I forgot to mention having a 2-month, this helps out a ton. More time for me to be with my wife and daughter. And if there is a lot to do I can just come in on Monday and boom 10 hours of overtime. May I ask what people with kids do? We have the option to work 4x10s here and almost nobody with children opts for it because school doesn't open until 7 and aftercare programs usually only go until 5. It seems like this would only work for the child-free or those who rely on their spouse for most of the childcare. I like that my company offers the option though. We also get flex time so I can take time off for appointments and make it up over the course of the quarter. I'm glad you're happy. But this is the only bit I have a problem with. A 7 a.m. start, or let's say 7 p.m. finish, is not good for the vast majority of people. It shouldn't be about 10-hour days to get another day off. It should be about reducing the overall time people spend at work in order to improve well-being. 4 by 8-hour days is better than 4 by 10. Obviously. It's a very fortunate outcome that productivity is shown to increase. Because if it wasn't for that we'd probably never get this done. I don't understand why they have to make the other 4 days ridiculous hours like 7 to 5:30 though. Fuck that. A 4-day work week should be 9 to 5. Or 8:30 to 5:30 or something along those lines and still have the 3-day weekend. And guess what? I guarantee you that the same amount of work is getting done. If not more. At least in a corporate office type of job. Because employees are appreciative and relaxed and happier and there will most likely be less slacking off. I've been preaching the 4-day work week thing for a while. Americans work too much, it's actually ridiculous. Work work money 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 work work. Rinse repeat. My employer gives us every other Friday off. We work 80 hours over 9 days MF. MTH. It's really helpful to have those Fridays to schedule appointments. And I have less desire to burn PTO throughout the year just to take a much-needed Friday off through the end of October. I had only used 2.5 PTO hours for the year. Mostly for doctor's visits. The only real downside is that on the Fridays that we do work, nobody wants to do anything. We did the same thing. But we rotated. Some had Mondays and some had Fridays. And we alternated those as well. So any given day we would only be missing 25% of the office. And everyone had different days so we weren't collectively not wanting to be there on one day. Lol. Working a 5-day work week just makes life seem so much more pointless. By the time I get the other things I need to do, grocery shopping, appointments, etc., done, it's Sunday night. A 4-day work week might give me time to play the piano I bought to combat depression. Edit. Thanks for all the love, guys. I really needed it. Honestly. The lack of time is why I'm consciously killing my sleep schedule. Kiddos down and everything by 9. Stay up till midnight or later to make sure I spend time with my wife and also have some me time. And if something else comes up, I just end up staying up later to feel like I didn't waste my entire day at work, doing chores around the house just to turn around and do it all over again. Hello. Coffee. My old friend. Think it makes sense. All the evidence suggests it works. And the welfare benefits would be enormous. They talked about this in the 70s. Yay, everyone said. My dad did it. He worked 4 12-plus hour days and took off Friday. Everyone else was like, if I work the 12 hours the 4 days plus another 12, I can make even more money. Yay. I remember this happening with one of the Kellogg companies. They reduced the number of hours of every worker in order to avoid massive layoffs. Then everyone was just so happy with the new structure. They kept it for decades. until larger shifts in the economy made workers rethink what they wanted and they went back to a 40-hour work week in order to make more money. I think the workers were just reflective of what people wanted at the time, more money in order to purchase more things, leisure activities, etc. But there's a pretty significant shift in what people want now. Where I feel a lot of younger people care more about how much time they have. Possibly because they grew up seeing that the race to acquire wealth wasn't really paying out the benefits that were promised. Happiness, life satisfaction, etc. I feel like people are missing the point, which is that we need to shorten the work week, amount of time spent at work. When people say we should switch to 4-day work weeks, they don't mean 4 10s or 4 12s. We need to work less, meaning 4-day weeks that are still 8-hour days or less, because most people could get the same amount of work done in 4 5 or 6-hour days as they do spreading it out over 5/8 and procrastinating at work as much as they can, with adding in commuting time and any time outside of work spent thinking about work, answering texts or emails, etc. The average adult spends way too much time on work. Given that we now have more people in the workforce and supposedly more productivity because of automation, we ought to be dropping down to 32-hour weeks to compensate for the changes in our household structures. What I don't get is why we work on hours instead of the work being done. I apparently get paid to carry out certain responsibilities, not to just be physically present at a workplace. But if I finish all my work, I don't get to leave. It incentives wasting just enough time that you look busy all day. Otherwise they just hit you with even more work, effectively punishing you for being good at your job. It really is total fucking bullshit. Honestly, we would be doing all of us a favor. So why do we continue to act like this? Who the fuck made these stupid rules? Do they hate enjoying themselves by not having to work so much? It doesn't make sense. I agree, but labor laws and company policies everywhere are designed so that employees who work less than 40 hours per week do not receive any benefits, like health insurance, dental, 401k, pension, etc. It would take a major shift in laws and work culture to overcome that inertia. I not only think it would be great, I think we should go further and eliminate required work hours for certain jobs altogether. Most office jobs can easily be done from home with a phone and a working internet connection. There's no reason to force people to commute and sit on a cubicle for hours and hours every week just so bosses can make sure they're working. That's 1919 thinking, not 2019 thinking. When you hire me, you should pay me X amount of dollars for Y amount of work. Whether it takes me 12 hours a week or 54 hours a week to get it done, my salary X never changes. And any free time is my own. I wholeheartedly agree. I managed changing my work contract from working full-time in an office to working whenever I want from home as a freelancer for the same amount of money. I deliver the same exact amount of work while working half of the time. How much does it take me? It's my only business. I am 6 months in and they are very happy with me. Everybody gains something here. They spend for me exactly as much as before, probably even less considering they have a person less to take care of and to offer benefits to, and I am not full-blown depressed because of a fascist office job. Now I am depressed only because of existence. Not saying it works for every job and every person, but for sure it does for some. Yup. My office likes to treat working from home as some sort of prized commodity. I was feeling unwell and spent 2 days working from home as to avoid getting others sick. I got all my work done both days. During the second day, my boss messaged me and stated that I needed to be in the office the next day because it doesn't look professional. I want to find the person who established work culture and punch them in the head. I'm a web developer for my company. There are sometimes entire days where I come into work, sit down, do my job, and don't talk to a single human being. I have no idea why I have to drive out here to do my work. Depends. Some jobs are very independent. But also, some people require human interaction. I know that nearly everyone in our office could work remote. But if we did, we'd miss out on a lot of inter-office communication. I'm also not very productive when I'm remote. You don't ever need to collaborate face-to-face with your colleagues. I'm not sure what you do. But in my job it's so nice to be able to hand someone a sketch, or stand around a document all marking it up for someone to edit. Yes. You can do those online. But nowhere near as efficiently. I think it's less about 4-day work weeks, but more about work-life balance. For people that's already working more than 10 hours a day or no pay overtimes or working during holidays, working 4 days a week means very little. Agreed, dude. Working some weird hours, averaging at least 50 hours a week with no overtime pay. Getting home decently past midnight when my shift ends at 11. Rolling out of bed in the late morning at getting ready for work again. Then sleeping away my weekends. I'd love a 4-day week. But there's no way they'd pay me the same LMAO. My BF works 4/10s and it's a total game changer. It's adjusted his schedule so he wakes up at earlier hours on his days off, which gives him more day in his day, on top of already having an extra one. I'm self-employed and I try to have all my work done by Fridays. So we usually get 3-day weekends together, which also makes taking short trips easier without missing any work. It also opens up a weekday for him to do certain things that have more limited hours on weekends, like appointments and whatnot. I did 4/10s for a while. I was so exhausted at the end of the 4th day I basically spent my 5th day recovering. I'm in IT Street, a small company now. I don't see them going to 32-hour weeks for us. This keeps coming up. And I'll keep getting buried. But I will keep saying it, a 4-day work week should be 4/8s. Not 4/10s. For some people 4/10s is better than 5/8s and that's fine. But nearly every study on productivity, happiness, flexibility, revenue, etc. that deals with a 4-day work week studies 4/8s, not 4/10s. The entire theory is that 40-hour work weeks are excessive for many modern jobs. Cramming the same hours into fewer days completely misses the point. I absolutely support it. There's so much evidence that backs the benefits up. But agree with the comments about lower-paid workers just working more at other jobs. This system is good in theory for salaried workers, but not so much for hourlies, unless their wages were adjusted accordingly. I also think it would affect newer members entering the workforce. It's illegal to roll someone's pay back for doing the same job they've always done, in my country at least. Some conditions may apply. But what's to stop companies from hiring new entry levels at a percentage less? There would have to be regulation and laws against it. Cost of living doesn't go down just because your hours do. What management never understands is that they are only getting 4 hours, maybe 6 hours of actual work. Whether they want us there for 8 or 10 hours, they are still only getting minimal production. Personally, I'd rather work 4 4-hour days and get paid for 40 hours. Hello. 4-day workweek haver here. It's wonderful and does have the benefits they say it does. My schedule is Monday 6 a 12 p. Tuesday to Thursday 6 a 6 p. While I don't get anything but basic self-care done Tuesday to Thursday, I have 3.5 days to unwind, go to appointments, run errands, and do chores. It's magical. I also have a chronic pain condition, so I can take a whole 2 days to rest if I need it, and still have a day off, and the second half of Monday to get stuff done. 10 out of 10. I've been dreaming about everyone besides emergency responders OFC having Wednesdays consistently off. That would be an absolute dream. And the health benefits of it, mentally as well as physically, would be well worth it. Even to employers. Even if they don't try to force their employees to make up for that time by working longer on other days. I believe that in many professions, the profits that are lost by giving people another day off midweek would more than pay for themselves in employee satisfaction, loyalty, motivation, and less need for medical leave. I have thoughts on emergency responders and businesses that organize themselves around people having free time too. But yeah. Let it be just said that there are very few people in the world who truly need to go shopping at 8 p.m. on a Saturday. Like in 4 days. Each 10 hours? Maybe. Depends on how long my commute would be. 4 days with each being 8 hours? I think then I'd just shorten my workday to 25 hours and keep on working 5 days. I mean, a longer weekend is nice, but I'd love to be able to show up at work at 7:30, have a nice lunch break, and still leave at 14:30. Then you'd actually have a life. Even on working days.